Hello, it's Miss Cathy, Library Assistant from the Community Library Children's Department. One of my favorite things to do at the library is to share my love of nature with everyone. You might remember last fall we did the monarch butterflies, and I thought just because we're not together doesn't mean that we can't share these things. So I'm going to make a series of videos called Miss Cathy's Critter Corner so that I can share the things that I love with all of you. I have some really interesting things that I've been collecting to share. I have 3 different kinds of tadpoles. I have Luna moth caterpillars, and I have some other butterflies that I'm planning on raising this summer. And I'm going to share different things every week. So the first thing I want to talk about is spring peepers. Have you ever been outside at dusk on a spring night and you can hear something that sounds like millions of little bells or whistles or peeps, like chick peeps? This is what it sounds like. Those are spring peepers. Spring peepers are tiny little tree frogs. They're about this big, and they live in the forest all around us. In the springtime, they come to the water, maybe a pond or even a big puddle, a vernal pond, which is a temporary pond that happens during the rainy season, in little streams, any place like that. And they gather there, and at night they make those peep, peep, peep noises to attract females, and they are as loud as they can be. You can hear them up to a mile away because they're trying to make themselves sound like the biggest, loudest peeper frog out there. After they lay their eggs, they hatch pretty quickly, and they have very, very tiny little tadpoles. When the tadpoles first hatch, they're maybe 1/8 of an inch big. They're so tiny, and they quickly change into tree frogs. And after they've made that metamorphosis, they go right back to the forest, and they come back again in next spring. So I was lucky enough recently to accidentally catch a spring peeper while I was cleaning out my pond, and here's what he looks like. If you look on his little feet, you can see he has little circular pads on his toes. That's one of the clues that I used to tell me he was a tree frog and not a water frog. I also looked on Google, and I could see he has a little X on his back, and that's how we know he's a spring peeper. So after we observed him for a little while, we took him back out to the pond. We found a video of peeper noises like the one I just played for you, and we played it to see if we could get him to peep, and it worked. Here he is singing his heart out. Once I knew I had spring peepers in my pond, I was on a quest to find some tadpoles so that we could raise them together and see what it looks like as they transform. So I was able to find some, and here's what they look like when they're brand new. They're so tiny, it's about the size of the top of a sewing needle. And here's a look at them about 10 days later. So I'm waiting for them to transform, and then I'm going to release them back into my yard, and hopefully we'll be able to do that together.